that don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get in the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD, and I am coming to you a day or two outside of when we normally release the podcast. I got a little bit busy. We just got done with our third quarter Inner Circle Elite Mastermind, where I was able to go and pick up a lot of tips, tricks, and hints from other real estate investors, high-level real estate investors from all over the country. If you think that you might be looking to get into a mastermind, a high-level mastermind with some of the best real estate investors in the country on an intimate and personal level, reach out to me and I can get you the link to check out the group. I think it's great for anybody that's experienced and is really looking to scale or improve their lifestyle. It's not really the kind of group that you would want to get into if you don't know how to do your first real estate deal. But with that being said, if you want to do your very first real estate deal, wholesaling deal, or if you're an agent, you want to get your very first contract in the next 30 days, this is the perfect podcast for you. I'm going to break down all the steps that are involved in getting your first real estate deal. The only question is going to be, are you willing to do the work that's required? A lot of the gurus out here in the real estate space say, hey, it's easy. You can do it with no money down, no money invested. It's just time and it's easy. And they make it seem like you're getting $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 checks right outside the gate. And that's probably not the case. So that's how I'm going to teach you how to do your next real estate deal in 30 days, as if you didn't know anything about doing that. There's a couple of things that I'm going to talk about: selecting your area, selecting your list, getting the right partners, how to market for deals, how to put a deal under contract, how to find your buyer's list, and how to dispo the property if I was starting brand new in a brand new area. So let's get into it. Oh, before I do, if you're getting any value from these videos, please, from these videos or the podcast, please make sure you're liked and subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you're giving us 5-star ratings. We're trying to make sure that our content and our information gets out to everybody, and we'd really appreciate it. On the side note, if you're looking or you're struggling with real estate and you need a little bit more guidance, you can sign up for a free 30-minute coaching call with me, where we'll talk about everything that you're doing in your business right now, what you want to do, and I will try to give any type of advice that I can, completely free, no cost, and I'll put the link to my Calendly in this podcast. But you could also just reach out, message us, or DM, and we can get you the link to sign up for that. Okay, without any further ado, we're talking about how to get your first real estate wholesale deal in the next 30 days, or how to get a deal as an agent within the next 30 days. Like I said before, a lot of people don't want to put in the work. The tasks are simple, but staying consistent and committed to it is what most people struggle with. So the number one thing, people come to me and they say, hey, I want to start real estate investing. I just don't know where to start. And so there's many different schools of thought on this. Most people that are looking to start investing in real estate or start wholesaling, they really should be starting in the market that they know. So where you live, that's the market you should first start with. If you try this for 6 months or a year and it doesn't work, okay, let's look at moving to a different market. Start in your market. You're going to have such a leg up on all of these virtual wholesalers who've never been there, who don't know the area, don't know the properties. You're just in a better position, especially starting out. If you start in the area that you know, that's easy. Okay, you started in the area you know. All right, after you've identified the market, then you have to identify the person. And the whole entire goal of marketing to these people, there's a couple of different ways that you could do it. You could do the blanket approach where you literally contacted every single house in your market. Now, assuming that your area is not a small little town, 3,000 people, if you have a town that's 20, 30, 40,000 people or more, this will work. And if you don't have a town of that big, expand your area until you get to about that size. The more properties you have, the more chance in your geographic area, the more chance that you'll be able to find somebody with a problem. But people in small towns are selling at a discount all the time. So just think about this. If you're blanket marketing to the entire area and you paid to send a postcard, we'll use postcards for this example, you send a postcard to every single house in that community, there is going to be somebody that has a problem that you need to sell. Now, the idea behind strategically marketing is that you can send less letters to a more targeted list and have a better opportunity. You have a better than not chance of hitting somebody who needs to sell their house if you look at it from a couple of different perspectives. So if you send a postcard to every single house in your market, you are 100% going to send your postcard to somebody who needs to sell and needs to sell at a discount. But you're spending a lot of money to do that. So we want to spend the least amount of money on marketing as possible to have the most likely chance of finding somebody who needs to sell at a discount. Now, the way that we do that is by focusing on specific niche lists. We're trying to contact people who are more likely than just a random 100 properties to sell their house. So if we want a list of 1,000 properties that we're going to market to, you can do 500, you can do 300, but the bigger your list, the more likely you will to succeed. And the list that we're mailing to, we want it to be more likely that somebody will sell than just a random list of, say, high equity or just a random geographic list. So what we're going to do is take our geographic area and we're going to stack a couple of lists together. The number one list that I would recommend, and after you've identified your area, this is what I would tell you to do. If you have a cell phone and you have a car, you can make this strategy work. What you're going to do is driving for dollars. I've talked about driving for dollars many times, so I'm not going to belabor that point. But what you're doing is driving around the neighborhoods in the market that you're looking for, and you're trying to identify those properties that need work or look distressed, have signs of distress. Whether it's bad roofs, tarps on the roofs, bad lawn, mailboxes overflowing, AC units on a property that probably shouldn't have AC unit, type AC, bad lawn maintenance, vacant houses if they appear to be vacant, even if they're not in horrible condition. I put those on the list. If you drive around your area, up and down every single street, putting every single one of those properties on a list, that's going to be your base list. You know that all of those properties are more likely to need to sell than a property that's being taken care of really well. If somebody doesn't care enough about their property to keep it up, then they are more likely to sell than somebody who has the award-winning petunias in the front yard. Now, once you've established that driving for dollars list, you could just start there. I also like to add a couple other lists in, because getting a 1,000-person list, that's what you're shooting for, is getting a 1,000-person list that is more likely to sell than a random 1,000 people. So you fill it out with driving for dollars list. The next list that I want to look for, and each county does this a little bit different, but it is the $100 transfer list. That's what it is in my counties. But in your county, it may be something else. When you get online and you're looking at the county court records, you're looking for properties who have transferred ownership in a non-traditional sale. It's a non-arm's length transaction. So properties going from one entity to another, properties that are being deeded over into trusts. All of these properties are ones that are changing hands in something other than a normal real estate transaction, and oftentimes that's associated with some sort of distress, whether it's probate, foreclosure. There's a lot of different irregular inheritance, or any of those type of issues can really be identified with what we call the $100 transfer list. Anyways, so now you've gotten those two lists and you've gotten it up to 1,000 properties. I would recommend doing a skip trace to get them all knocked out. But if you go to directskip.com and directskip.com, they have 500 free skip traces that you can use. And so you take your list of 1,000, you make sure that you see any of those properties that are stacked together. Those get on the top of the list, and then you fill the rest of it in with your driving for dollars. And if you still don't have 1,000, then you add the rest of the $100 transfer list, and you should be able to see 1,000 properties. Now, after you have that list of 1,000 properties, after you skip traced it, you're going to get a bunch of numbers back. Once you got those number back, there's a couple of things that you can do. And this is really where it comes into getting your first deal. You have the list, you have the phone numbers. Now it's time to put in the work. You are going to sit down and call every single one of those phone numbers. There's going to be somewhere between 3 and 10 phone numbers per property, and you're just going to have the conversation. Whether you've done it before, you've never done it before, you're going to have the conversation. The conversation goes like this: hey, this is JD. I was just reaching out about 123 Main Street. Yeah, I was wondering if you'd ever considered selling that property or getting an offer. If you just start it out like that, by the time you're on your 3,000th phone call, you're going to be really good and have a good script. What you were looking for are motivation, some sort of outside motivating factor. Do they have a reason that they need to sell? Because you got to remember, nobody's going to sell at a discount if they don't have to. So do they have a reason? Do they have a timeline? And does the house have equity? So you're looking, do they need to sell? Why do they need to sell? And is there room in that deal for you to find a solution and for them to exchange equity? There are other things you can do with properties that don't have equity, but it takes a little bit more nuance to figure out how to make those things work. Once you find somebody, and you're going to make these phone calls, if you're calling for 4 to 6 hours a day, you should be able to dial around 50 people per hour. If you're dialing 50 people per hour, you should come up with about 1, maybe 2 people who would at least say, hey, I'm interested in getting an offer, or I consider selling my house. That doesn't mean that that one person out of every 50 that they're going to sell at a discount. But what it means is that they're raising their hand and saying they'd consider selling, and we count that as a lead. We need somewhere between 10 and 20 of those leads to equal a lead that we're a deal. So if you're making 50 phone calls an hour for 4 hours a day, then you will be able to get a deal definitely within the next 30 days. But once you get that, what do you do with it, right? That's the next question. So you're choosing to market to them, and you can do the cold call. You could also throw on text message, especially if you get somebody who doesn't answer, you can send a text message. Just, hey, this is JD. I was trying to get a hold of Mr. Smith. Do I have the right number? That kind of thing. And you can leave messages. So now you found somebody who is distressed. After you've gone through all of these phone calls, you find somebody who you think is distressed, you think they're motivated, and you're able to have a conversation. Now, what do you do, right? A lot of people get stuck on this point because they don't have a contract, they don't have a title company. The title company or the attorney is really easy. Depending on what state you're in, you just Google title companies in my city. Now you're going to get a list of all the title companies, and you just call them and say, hey, I'm looking to speak to a closing agent. And when you get on the phone with them, you ask them, hey, are you guys investor friendly? Do you understand wholesaling? Do you understand double closes? What can you do? What can you not do? Do you have a preferred contract or a preferred way of doing it? You'll have a conversation with them. If they're really an investor-friendly wholesale company, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, we do that all the time." Now that's probably the one that you're gonna want to go with. But what you're also gonna say is, "Hey, do you have any of the contact information for the wholesalers, the people that are doing a lot of wholesale deals?" And you're going to get back in contact with them, or they're going to contact you. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You find the title company that works, and then you're also finding other investors who are doing the deals there. And this is where it comes down to you give them a call and you say, hey, I'm working a couple of deals. Do you guys JV with new investors? You say that to the other wholesalers. There is going to be one that'll say yes. And then you say, do you have a preferred contract that you can use? I'm about to put this under contract, and I want to make sure that we're using the contract that works for you if I'm going to bring you the deal. They'll give you their contract that they've put the time in. Obviously, it's on you to make sure that it says what you need it to say in order to protect you. Make sure there's an inspection period. Make sure that there's earnest money exemptions. Make sure that you have the protections that you need and that it's assignable. But if you use the contract that other wholesaler helps you with, then the getting rid of the deal is really easy. So now, we've got the title company, and we have a couple of experienced wholesalers that we've reached out to move the deal. Once you put the property under contract, you can either move it straight to them and say, hey, let's JV and split the profits 50-50, or which I like a little bit better, is you start posting it in all of the real estate investing forums from that neighborhood. And you continue to do that and reach out and contact the people who are buying in that neighborhood to build a list and see if the property that you have works for them. If you can't, then that's when I would go back to the other wholesalers and say, hey, can we JV on this for 50-50 or 60-40 split, and bring it to them. At that point, you're going to get somebody who knows what they're doing if you have a good deal. When it comes to negotiating prices and all of that kind of stuff, there's other videos and other content that we have out on that. But as far as going through the steps, find a person who needs to sell, get it out under contract at a discount, make sure you know who your title company is going to be, and make sure you're maintaining relationships with other investors. And from that point, the other investors should be able to carry you through to the dispo process, and you're going to have to do some work along the way, but that's going to put you way further ahead than somebody who's trying to figure it out on their own, and it's worth it for that 50% deal. Now, there's a bunch of steps in there that some people will need a little bit more hand-holding than other. And if you want a further breakdown of those steps to getting your first deal in the next 30 days, make sure you reach out to me. We can jump on a call and I can break it down further. I appreciate you guys. And if you could share this video with anybody in your circle who needs to see it, I'd appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.